honor. It's really a pleasure sharing this chat with you, especially when I see that I am one of the very few non-Nepalese ones on the room. So thank you again to all of you for this invitation. On the other hand, I would like to approach this issue from a not so optimistic perspective. Actually, talking about post-COVID, I think it's quite an optimistic way. I think this pandemic is not going to be at all an on-off issue. It will be with us for a long while. And honestly, I think if we wait or if we expect this pandemic to be off and from that point start rebuilding the travel business, it's going to be quite tough for all of us. Even when the vaccine could be a solution, I think it's not going to be something so quick. So sorry for this maybe a little bit pessimistic point of view, but I think it's quite realistic. So my approach to all this is that we have to get used to live for a long while in this new environment. We will be living with the threat, with some people is scared about traveling. It's also true that many people is really keen about traveling, but reality, the new normality, at least for some years, is going to be very linked to this pandemic. So from a very realistic point of view, my situation, sorry, just one moment because I introduced myself at the beginning, but maybe some people were not joining yet. I am Enrique from Spain. I have been linked to Nepal for the last 25 years. I am managing a travel agency, very focused on trekking trips, but we are also very focused on television and documentary production. We have been filming in Nepal for National Geographic and many others. Sorry for this acceleration, and I will keep going with my speech. So as I told you, I am not so optimistic in a way. So we have to think in a way, considering that COVID is going to be living with us for a while until it will be completely defeated. But that will take, I think, a while. Meanwhile, we have to still keep living, we have to keep working, and we have to find the ways to keep our businesses open and taking people to Nepal. So from that point of view, I think we have to consider two parameters, or at least that is what I have been considering since the pandemic started. The first one is the pandemic wave. We are now facing in Spain our third wave. We are going up, and we have to look at this wave at the same time as we look at the holiday calendars. Now, I have some groups willing to go to Nepal. Of course, the first thing that has to happen is that the quarantine is over on arrival, because while this regulation is there is no chance to sell trips to Nepal. No one is going to stay 7 days or 10 days in a hotel in Kathmandu. But anyway, as I told you, the third wave in Spain is going up. And I have here the Easter holidays. So it's a question of matching that if the waves goes down, maybe I will have any chance to take people to Nepal. That is the first thing that has to happen, that the people have the first that it is possible to travel to Nepal. I mean, it's allowed by the Nepal government. Second, people has to feel safe enough to travel. And I think this feeling is going to be changing along the time for the next 1 or 2 years. Because if the pandemic stays with us for such a long time, it will be going up and down. But still, we will have people traveling. For example, now we also sell trips to Tanzania, and we have already had people in Tanzania in October and November. Now it's much more difficult for me selling trips to Tanzania, to Kilimanjaro, because that safety perception of the people. So what I want to stress here is that the wave will be going up and down, and we will have to find the windows to take clients and to send people to Nepal. Mhm. To surf these waves, we have to be very aware of the situation, being realistic. And also, we have to think from the point of view from the point of view of the traveler. So we have to provide them safety perception, and to do so we have to give them facilities. If we want to have travelers to Nepal in the next year, what kind of facilities I have thought about? For example, there is something like I would like that the hotels and health people, health staff in Nepal would be working together in such a way they could provide the chance to clients to do tests on the hotels. Many, for example, now many Spanish people that are traveling abroad, they are forced to present a PCR test on the way back home. So it will be great if I could have my PCR while I am at the hotel. Okay, I do not have to move to any clinic or whatever, but I could have the doctor at my hotel, for example. Even though if I am doing, let's say, Everest Trek, and I need to have a PCR that maybe the results needs a couple of days. It will be excellent if I can have a PCR test in Namche Bazaar, and I will get the results by mail once I get to Kathmandu. Also, I think the lodges all over the Himalayas, all the accommodations in the Himalayas, they could start thinking about regulations by themselves, not only waiting until the government dictates what to do or not what to do. Of course, that will be the law, and all of us will have to follow it. But I think the lodge owners, the hotel owners, could already start thinking about this. How? For example, we could do something like organizing dinner and breakfast shifts. So it will be, I mean, this is going to be difficult. It will be a pity because one of the great pleasures of a trekking is sharing the dining room with other people and so on. But maybe we will have to start thinking that we will have to stay longer outside or even in our rooms. Okay. So I think this is a measure that could help the clients to have a better perspective of safety. It's also very good if we can think about making some kind of bubble trips. So all the people involved, clients, guides, porters, drivers, they must have a PCR test before starting. Okay, that's another way to spread this safety feeling into the people. It's also a good time to focus on camping treks. Trying to build this kind of bubbles even in a better way than if we use lodges. Okay, so these all are measures that I think all of us should be thinking together, trying to start working not in a post-COVID situation, but in a COVID situation. Maybe not in a so tough COVID situation as we have been living right now, but maybe in 6 months' time, we will be in a better situation, but we will still have to keep COVID on mind if we want to start working. Adding some more thoughts to my speech, I would say that it's also time to think about selling cheap. So I think all of us, tour operators, agents abroad, airlines, all of us should be trying to reduce our prices, our cost, because we have to make really attractive offers to the people. So this is something we are really considering right now, and that's the line, the way I am working with my providers all over the world. I think another in this in following this thought, I think the government could think about reducing some of the cost of the trekking permits. I am not thinking about Annapurna or Everest, which is well, are not that high, but maybe on those areas, on restricted areas like Dolpo or Mustang, or especially Mustang, I think they should consider about reducing the prices just for a while. For example, in Uganda, they have done so with the gorillas. You know that you want to visit the gorillas in Uganda, you will have to pay about 500 US dollars per day. So they have reduced that price to half while the pandemic is happening. So something like this could be also considered in Nepal. Another issue is the filming permits. In some areas of Nepal, filming permits are extremely high. And filming Nepal, having documentaries, having TV spots about Nepal at this time, it will be an excellent promotion. So I think all these measures could be considered in order to improve the number of visitors to Nepal and the marketing strategies in these very difficult times. Uh, so this is my thoughts about the situation. I also consider that we could it would be very good if all companies start thinking about having a position that should be called something like preventive resource manager or something like that. Someone really focus on all the measures to be taken in order to keep the clients safe. And he would be also the person in touch with them in order to organize the test they will have to take before returning home and so on. So basically, this is the kind of things came to my mind when I think in next Easter, summer, and autumn. And regarding the kind of product we should be offering, but I think this is something that will work today and it will work in 3 years' time when COVID will be completely over. But definitely I agree with my colleagues about the need of including different products, not only mountains. I think that Nepal has this adventure feeling, that adventure atmosphere. And I think we should change our concept of adventure. Adventure shouldn't be a physical stuff anymore. Adventure should be also an experience trip, something you live with the people, and Nepal has a lot to offer about that. And regarding the family trips, I really agree. Last year I was trekking with my wife and my 2 years kids, and we had a lot of fun over there. So definitely that is something that should be focused on very deeply. And I think nothing else. Let me see if I am forgetting something to tell you. But yeah, another thing I was considering is that guides education. I think the training of the guide, the cultural guides, there are many of them very good. In the mountains, guides are amazing. The way that they really know what to do if something happens, they are well trained about altitude and so on. But it will be very nice if we also focus their training in cultural stuff and also about the history of climbing, because people is very keen about knowing about these things. So if they could know and they could get some training also about the how to communicate, how to tell stories about Mallory, about Hillary, about Tenzin Norgay, all that will add a lot of value to the trips. So I think training the trekking guides in this kind of stuff will be great. And another issue this is a little bit futuristic, but I think it will be very nice. It would be trying to start with virtual trips. Why not? Why not making a virtual trip to Kumbu? And it would be some kind of a speech like this, but by a virtual reality, and somebody could be telling them about history of climbing, about Sherpas, about Buddhists, and we would do any of those speech in different scenarios. We could be in Tiamboche, we could be in Everest Base Camp, things like this. But I think this is something, another kind of traveling that is also happening. It's happening in another parts of the world. So it implies a little bit of investment in technology, but I think it's that something that could happen in the future. So nothing else. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope to see you very soon in Kathmandu.
Thank you, Enrique. It's wonderful. It's very wonderful. So the ideas that you presented, they are technical. They are to the point, technical, practical, very situation appropriate. Thanks for all that. So the things, couple of things that you mentioned regarding the opportunity, right? So this is what we have been saying as well. And this pandemic is not always a bad thing. It's obviously a bad thing. Many people are dying. Many people's livelihoods have been affected. But even with that, there is an opportunity that we could explore. One thing is basically in the tourism sector. So tourism is at a standstill at the moment. But we should use this opportunity as a moment where we come together and we basically think about the past and see what, basically analyze on what we have done wrong and think about what we could do better. So the suggestions that you have put there is really wonderful. And the things that you said is means pandemic is COVID-19 is not going away anytime sooner. That's true. The way our lives will be even after a pandemic is not going to will still remain the same. It won't be like as normal as pre-pandemic. So hopefully it goes back, but let's see how what happens. So vaccination is our hope. So let's hope that it will work. There are things that you were talking about, the self-regulations. That's a good point. We shouldn't basically just rely on the governments. We should act responsibly. I guess through ENCCT, we could maybe bring some hotel associations in Nepal and other tourism stakeholders, different associations and agencies, and to on a platform, and so that we can discuss like this with them and see what can be done. And the things that you talk about, the bubble trips, the cheap trips, they are really wonderful ideas. I think those are things that should be implemented if we want to jumpstart the tourist flow to Nepal, may it be from Europe or from the rest of the world. And the filming fee, the lowering the fee for accessing different sites, different touristic sites, they are true. I think for that we need to bring the relevant politicians, even people on board. I'm pretty sure that Nepalese embassies in Europe, the representatives will be watching this video at some point, and hopefully we'll be able to work together to lobby on what we can do on those fronts. And training staff guides, equip them with knowledge so that they can share their knowledge about different information so that we can in trial. The tourist is a wonderful idea that should happen, and that's a long-term thing. Again, that needs to be planned with the respective agencies, tour operators and associations, and putting together a more holistic approach there. So that's something we could definitely at least from the ENCCT side, maybe we are not an implementation body, but we could definitely bring and pull in relevant people onto a platform, force them to discuss, and hopefully come up with a plan that is implemented and accomplished. So there are a lot of things that have been presented today. So one of our
just before jump to the others, I just want to talk about the one point of Enrico about the cost management. This is very good point, especially the trekking permits for those kind of areas like Mustang, Dolpo, Rolvaling, and these kind of rural areas. We don't have more. The clients has no more facilities, but is still getting like for Mustang $500, and these kind of things makes the trip higher and expensive, and then the client's thinking twice or three times more. And what other things? What I also want to say is the visa system is like why is not Nepal immigration providing online visa system? That should be very easier. And this is also one of the point. Thank you, Enrique, for making this cost management things.
Okay, that's good. Thanks, Kamalji. So now the last point on that. So what I was saying is there are a lot of things shared, and what we want to get out of all these talk programs that we organize is at least some percentage of it is taken into consideration by the concerned authorities, bodies, and they are implemented. So what we will do, I'm just thinking now, is we will put together via ENCCT, we'll put together a booklet in our website, and we will document all the suggestions that have been presented today. So Roshanji brought up very good points. Krishnanji brought up very good points. Kamalji brought up very good points. Enrique, you brought up very technical and very time appropriate suggestions there. So we'll kind of compile this into a booklet. And if anybody wants to have a look, it will be available on our website. Thanks for all those wonderful suggestions. So with that, we will move on to Janardhanji.